So here's the reason that I'm selling all of my long positions and I'm going short on the NASDAQ and SPY, which is the S&P 500. If you guys are new here, my name is Xander with Facer Trading Academy. I have my finance degree from Washington State University, and I've been trading in the stock market for nearly a decade now. Today, what we're going to do is going to be a little bit of a special day. We're just going to go over the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ 100. We're also going to go over SPY. They trade very similarly. And the special part about today is we're actually going to cover a stock at the very end, and that's EH. And that was a stock requested by a subscriber, iFly81. So if you are watching, enjoy that recap and that technical analysis on that particular stock. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into QQQ. We're going to talk about the NASDAQ. We're going to talk about some key economic data that's going to be released this week, some other data that's going to be coming out here shortly, the interest rate hikes that are coming next week, and how all that comes together and why I am preparing to go short on QQQ and how exactly I'm going to capitalize on the move down to the downside. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. The first thing I want to do is talk about the economic data that's going to be released this week. So today we didn't really have too much released, nothing too important that's going to move the markets. Tomorrow, however, we do have core retail sales for month over month for the month of June. And then we also have just regular retail sales. Those are going to be two big ones to pay attention to. The other thing I want you guys to know is we have Fed Gibson testifying tomorrow as well on Tuesday, and we have Fed Vice Chair for Supervision Barr speaking tomorrow as well. So those things can impact the market. So I do want you guys to be aware of that. The other thing that I want to talk about is Wednesday. We have the building permits being released, and we have crude oil inventories being released as well on Wednesday. So that's going to be another day to pay attention. And then Thursday, we have continuing jobless claims, initial jobless claims, and Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index being released. We also have existing home sales for the month of June being released. And that's pretty much it for Thursday. Friday, we don't have anything too worthy of being talked about. So don't really worry about Friday, but those are the three big days to pay attention to: Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They all have some economic data that's going to be released that I want you guys to pay attention to and see how the market reacts to the data that's being released. So that's the first thing I want you guys to know. The second thing I want you guys to remember is that next week we actually have the FOMC meeting. And at the end of that meeting, we're actually going to have the Fed announce the next interest rate hike. So as of right now, there's a 99.2% chance that the Fed will be raising interest rates by 0.25%. 25 basis points. So I want you guys to be aware of that. Only 0.8% that we're not going to have interest rates raised. So odds are interest rates are going to be raised next week. So keep that in mind. And historically, the market always reacts negatively to when interest rate hikes are put in place. So keep that in mind. And when we're going to be talking about technical analysis, don't forget that specific fact, right? The last thing I want you guys to note before we jump into some technical analysis is going to be the earnings for this week. A lot of banks are going to be reporting earnings. We have First Republic reporting today after market close. We have Bank of America before market opens. We have Charles Schwab before market opens. Morgan Stanley before market opens. We have Mercantile Bank Corporation. We also have Fulton Financial Corporation. We have Interactive Broker, not really a bank, but it does have to do with the finance sector and the finance industry. Goldman Sachs, US Bank Corp, M&T Bank, Citizen Financial Group, Discover, which is a credit card. What else do we have here? Key Bank, First Financial Bank, Associated Bank, Capital One, another credit card. So a lot of finance related stocks are going to be reporting this week. So keep that in mind. American Express is another one. So keep that in mind. Pay attention to how the market reacts. We also have Tesla reporting. We have Netflix reporting, United reporting. Some big companies are going to start reporting next week and the weeks following. It is the kickoff kind of to the season of earnings. So keep that in mind. There's going to be quite a bit of volatility in the market when all of these earnings are going to be released. So let's go ahead and jump into the actual charts of QQQ. I'm going to go over QQQ. SPY reacts very similarly, so just keep that in mind. The technical analysis that we're doing is going to apply more or less to SPY as well. If you guys do want me to do an actual video of the chart that is SPY, SPY, go ahead and comment that in the comments below, and we can start doing either SPY one week and then QQQ another week, or doing both during the same video. It really depends on what you guys want. But for me, I'm going to talk about QQQ. And the reason why is because we trade TQQQ when the market's going up and SQQQ when the market's going down. And that's going to come into play as far as what I'm going to be trading and getting ready to trade when I do anticipate seeing the market begin to pull back. So let's go ahead and jump right on into it. We're looking at the daily chart on QQQ. And the first thing I want you guys to know is the fact that on the RSI, we are sitting overbought, right? And every time we do get overbought, we do see a sell-off. So every time we became overbought, we saw a sell-off. Every time we become overbought, we see a sell-off or a drop in the market. And usually, if you guys look even back here, overbought, saw a drop in the market. And usually we don't have interest rates being a part of this, right? And next week we actually do have interest rates being a part of this. And like I said, you know, every time we do see interest rates being hiked, the market actually reacts negatively. So this is just another reason to anticipate that we're going to see a pullback in the market. The second thing I want you guys to know is the fact that on the MACD, we just barely began to cross over to the upside. But if you look at the 4-hour chart, things are a little bit different. Let's finish up here on the daily chart. We did break above this resistance zone that we had previously, and we did begin to push up to the upside. So the next level, logically, that we're going to be paying attention to is this 400 to 402 zone. And that is actually the last highs that we saw when the market peaked, right? So this is going to be a very, very strong resistance zone. On top of that, if you guys pay attention to this dotted line, this is actually the +3 standard deviation, which is a very strong resistance zone in and of itself. But now that it comes to being previous highs as well, and the fact that we're extremely overbought on the RSI, we're going to probably see a strong sell-off. And so this is actually from where we're at right now to where we do hit this previous zone of resistance is actually the same time period where we do anticipate to see that rate hike being announced. And so when we do pull up to this upside and find resistance, we won't necessarily even hit that 400, 403 zone, but on the approach to this zone, we're going to see that interest rate announcement happen. And when that does happen, we anticipate to see a rejection and a pullback at least to this support level right here. And that's going to be this 370, 372 zone. So I do want you guys to pay attention to that. That is what we are anticipating to see. And that is exactly what I'm preparing for, right? And so our entries are going to be on the break of this blue line right over here, which is the exponential moving average. And that's going to be on a smaller time frame. That way we can maximize the profit. If you guys do want to know a little bit more about that, you guys can check out the link in the description below. I do have a small group that I work with. So if you guys are interested in getting daily announcements and daily moves that we're participating in, you guys can join that group. There's an A through Z lesson library as well. And you get one-on-one calls and a lot more. So check that out if you guys are interested. Let's go ahead and jump into a 4-hour chart. On a 4-hour chart, it's going to be a little bit more different, but a little more clearer for you guys to understand. Again, that previous resistance zone is going to be right up here. I charted out what we're trending on right here, this previous support level that has now become a resistance. And I do anticipate that we're just going to pretty much trickle right above it up until that announcement comes with the interest rate hikes. And that's when we're going to see that pull back down to this support zone right here at 370, 372. So that's going to be that short play that I'm preparing for right now. A lot of people are expecting the market to continue to push higher without really much of a justification. But if you combine everything that's happening in the economy right now with the data that's being released right now, it does make sense for us to see this pullback And from a technical standpoint, that's just from a fundamental standpoint, but from a technical standpoint, we are extremely overbought, not just on the weekly, the daily, but here, if as you guys can see on the 4-hour chart as well. And the MACD isn't very strong in terms of pushing higher, right? So it does make sense for us to see this pullback. All we have to do is see this break below this blue line right over here. Once we see a break below that, that's when we're going to enter SQQQ, which is the inverse ETF for the NASDAQ, right? So when the NASDAQ is going down, SQQQ is actually going up. So that is what we're preparing for. We're preparing to jump into SQQQ. As of right now, are we interested in jumping into TQQQ? No, because the market is so overbought. We've maximized our profits last week when we saw that push up to the upside. You guys can watch my previous video and I was saying the market's going to push higher. So we did capitalize by buying TQQQ when that happened. And then once we exited, we saw the market being extremely overbought. Now we are preparing to see a push to the downside, and we are getting ready to jump into SQQQ. So again, that's kind of what we're looking at here. Our trajectory is to this 400, 402 zone right up here. But like I said, I do anticipate interest rates are going, the announcement is going to cause the market to drop at least to the support level, if not lower. It will take some time to pan out. So by the time we get to this zone, I'll probably be making another video. And so kind of giving you guys a recap of what I think is going to happen next. So subscribe if you guys aren't subscribed. But again, extremely overbought on the 4-hour, on the daily, on the weekly. So very overbought, not something I want to be going long on, right? So at this point, that's kind of the breakdown here on QQQ. Going into a smaller time frame isn't going to help too much for you guys. I do want to give you guys just a general idea of what I'm seeing, what I'm expecting, the factors that are going to play into it. And on top of that, you have earnings. And with higher interest rates, earnings aren't going to be that great. I just want you guys to keep that in mind. They might come in, it's going to come in mixed, right? You're going to have some that are going to come in great, some that are not going to come in great. But keep in mind that with higher interest rates, that's squeezing the company's earnings, right? And that's squeezing their profitability. And so in that case, the company's not going to be doing as well as it could be when interest rates are not as high on the money that they're borrowing to operate their companies. And on top of that, now we're having more interest rate hikes being announced. So you guys puzzle that together, right? Again, we can jump into a 1-hour chart. It just becomes a little less clear. But as you guys can see, today we didn't see anything too crazy on the hourly chart. We did see a little more push to the upside, but again, even on the hourly chart, extremely overbought. So not something that I'm interested in going long in at this particular moment. And then on the 30-minute chart, it's just going to break down in terms of, you know, giving you guys a more intraday perspective on what was going on today. We just saw a push up today on Monday. But again, like I said, I do anticipate we're going to continue to trickle on top of this or right below this resistance level. Let's go ahead and go back to a 4-hour chart. That way you guys can kind of see the grand picture of everything. And I'll give you guys this final kind of analysis and rundown on what I'm anticipating to see. On the 4-hour chart, we're going to continue to trickle up around this resistance zone right up here. We're going to see the announcement for the interest rate hike on the, I believe it's the 26th. Once we do see that announcement, that's going to be right around, we're going to continue to trickle right around here. Announcement's going to come on the 26th. And we're going to see this drop happen to the support zone. And that's going to be our entry point for SQQQ to capitalize on this drop. If we do continue to see more selling, we're obviously going to have a greater margin of profit. But as of right now, the risk to reward in terms of going long versus going short or preparing to going short, it makes more sense to go short. So that's just a quick analysis here on QQQ, some key economic data that's going on. Like I did promise, I will do an analysis on EH, which is a stock that one of the subscribers have asked to do a quick analysis on a 4-hour chart. I did look into the company a tad bit. It is a very interesting company, but I do want to say that from a technical standpoint, it just does not make sense to jump into right now. So if you're not already invested in this company and if you haven't capitalized on it, I would probably say to hold off, just because on the 4-hour chart, we are more so on the overbought side. than we are on the oversold side. So we're right up here. We haven't broken below this exponential moving average to the downside. So I don't see an opportunity just yet. What I do want to see is I want to see the price or the RSI drop down here to this 30 zone in this general area. And then I want to see the MACD beginning a reversal to the upside. And that's going to be an opportunity to jump into. So I do think that we do still see some more pullback. Also looking at the volume profile level, we have a critical volume level here at 1119. And we're currently sitting at around 1927. So I do think that we're going to see a pullback at least to this general zone. As you can see, we've been consolidating in this general zone next to this critical volume profile level for some time. So if you are interested in this company, and that is something that you want to get involved in, I would suggest waiting a little bit and waiting for the price to pull back at least to this 10-11 zone, and then maybe reconsider, kind of see what's going on with the company and consider an entry or an exit or whatever you're doing with this particular stock. But as of right now, in terms of going long on this stock, I don't think it's a great opportunity. I think that it is overbought, and I do think that there's more room to the downside for a pullback. And if there is potential in the company, waiting for that pullback, getting in on that pullback will give you a much better opportunity than getting in right now and potentially bag holding if the market drops, especially with what we just talked about. The market drops, this probably will drop as well. And that's just going to leave you holding the bag for however long until this recovers back to this 1927 zone. So just keep that in mind. That is a quick analysis on a 4-hour chart. Daily chart's probably going to look very similar. We can clear this, check out the daily chart. Daily chart, again, extremely overbought on the daily chart. Just confirming kind of what we were talking about, right? When we're this overbought, not something I'm very interested in going long on. We're also at the +2 standard deviation, which is this dotted line right up here. Potential for strong resistance right over here, coming down to that 10-11 zone that we just talked about, which would be this 180-day simple moving average as a support as well. And it would make sense. So like I said, I would anticipate that we will probably see a pullback here. I would stay patient on this. Not a great opportunity just yet. But if you guys do have stocks that you guys are interested in me doing some technical analysis on and giving you guys my thoughts on those, drop them in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen with QQQ and SPY, the overall market. Let me know if you guys think that we're still going to see more continuation to the upside, or if we're going to see a pullback to the support zone or lower, and how the market's going to react when the Fed announces new interest rate hikes. So if you guys enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys are not subscribed. We do these videos every single Monday and Friday night. Mondays, we do a quick market recap, and then Fridays, we'll either do a quick lesson, we'll talk about a specific stock, or we're gonna post a speech that happened through that week that was significant. So again, if you guys enjoy this video, like this video. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, drop them in the comments below. Let me know what stocks you guys want me to analyze in the future, and I'll see you guys on Friday.